All right. So today, I'm excited to bring on legitimately the most interesting survivor / professional wrestler, not the other way around.
No, unfortunately.
He's now started one of the most
on the wrestler part.
And now you got one of the most entertaining Survivor podcasts to date, NSFW. And if you only followed him on your Instagram, you'd think you were just the everyday American Girl dad. We got Jonny Fairplay.
I am. It's so weird because like my goal as a human being was to not have kids. Like that that was my end game. I'm just like, man, I'm gonna fuck girls and not have a kid, and it's gonna be great. And then God was just like, hey, remember when you decided to be Jonny Fairplay? Let me give you a daughter. And I'm like, ooh, well played, sir. Or ma'am. I don't know.
That's payback for decades of all your shit, huh?
Yeah. And then it's just like, oh wait, there's two and they're both girls. And I'm like, man, you fucking win.
Yeah, I got two girls also, man. And everyone's like, well, don't you want to try for that boy? I'm like, nah, I'm gonna have a third girl, man. It's cosmic karma.
No, I'm good. Like, I wanted a boy. Like my whole deal. Like it. So I didn't want to have a kid, but if I did have a kid, I wanted to have a boy. And I wanted to name him Vegas Fairplay, and I figured he'd be like a starting quarterback because his name's Vegas, and you're just like, that's a good fucking
And he's got the Fairplay genetics.
Yeah, well, yeah, minus all that, and then I started thinking about it, and like the more like I did a deep dive on what the life of Vegas Fairplay would be like. I'm like, probably a fucking felon. Like if he's not the starting quarterback, like he's selling meth.
Sort of grifter of some sort, right?
Yeah. So, and plus, like, I don't want to see another fucking penis. I mean, like, I like my penis. It's great. It's Manscaped. Use promo code Survivor, manscaped.com.
Well, I use promo code Survivor for my magic spoon every time I order it. So,
yeah. So I just got my my apple cinnamon magic spoon, which is
I'm waiting for that, man. I ordered it like 6 days ago because I have to get like 8 boxes of the peanut butter kind because it goes so fast in this goddamn house. And I saw this apple cinnamon one. I'm like, Apple Jacks is like my favorite. It better be good.
That's my jam. That's my jam. So there you go. Promo code Survivor.
Yeah.
So but no, like I'm a big fan of my penis. Like we're good friends, and I see it daily, and I like it. But like I don't want to see another penis. And even if it was like my kid's penis, I'm just like, I don't want to see my kid's penis.
I wonder how many times we can say penis in this half hour.
Yeah, well, I mean, we can
yes, penis.
We can go for a record. I don't know. I do have a question for you. So like I just finished my Patreon Q&A. If you want to become a patron of Survivor NSFW, go to adfree.nsfw.com. We have lots of fun stuff. We're doing a Secret Santa, which I don't know if you can call it Santa in 2020, so Secret Survivor, but like I don't even know if you can say secret anymore.
Hidden Survivor? I don't know.
Whatever. So anyway, so we're doing a Secret Santa deal. We have fantasy football going. We do a weekly Q&A. We have a monthly Zoom call. We're about to cover Australian Survivor season 2. We're gonna do a podcast each week on the Patreon side of things. So pumped. But like so we just finished recording the Q&A. And I was talking with my friend Janelle, who was actually here at my house, and she was co-hosting the. So we have a patron co-host the Q&A each week that reads the questions.
Nice.
And so, but one of the patrons was actually at my house, so she was reading the questions. So we were talking before we went live here, and it was somewhere spattering the questions or else in just casual conversation, with me. I'm scared of blood and I'm scared of needles. and we're going to talk wrestling coming up. Like if there's a wrestling match with blood, I'm for it. Like like Ric Flair and Terry Funk bleeding all over each other.
Like when the Brood used to dump blood on everybody.
Well, no, because I did at the time, and then they had to say that it wasn't blood. It was
some random mysterious red liquid.
Yeah, go fuck yourself. It's
Yeah.
fucking blood. Like we all know it. Like I mean, who fucking cares? Like so yeah, that fuck that. So but I love blood but like I can't. I remember I was living in Portland, Oregon, and I was washing a wine glass, and it broke, and it sliced my hand open, and I woke up on the floor because I had passed out at the sight of my own blood.
Pretty
So
manly.
I can't deal with my own blood, and then like period blood on me. I'm not cool with that either because it's blood on me.
This came up
So
in your Patreon Q&A. Period.
no,
Blood.
after it was. This is a private conversation that I probably shouldn't be sharing now. But I'm just anti like for someone that loves blood so much in wrestling. I think it's just a really amazing, effective tool done correctly and done sparingly.
Yeah.
That I love. But my own blood. Like I remember the first time I went to ECW Arena. It was the night that Jerry Lawler showed up at the ECW Arena. And after the show, we were hanging out, and like outside the ring, it's just covered because they didn't have mats. It's just covered in blood. I mean, there's blood fucking everywhere on the fucking ground around on the ring apron, but also around the ring. And I remember there was these two fans sitting there, and they're talking to each other, and they're just like, "Man, I bet that's fake blood." And the other one fucking dips his fucking finger in it and licks it. And he goes, "Nope, that's real." I'm like, "Oh my god!"
Oh, that's horrifying.
Sick fuck.
What?
Yeah, those are ECW fans.
I wonder what about the taste of it, like that made him like very sure that was blood. Like he had to have had blood in the past.
Sure. Yeah, I would not.
ECW.
I would not like you could give me 8 samples of liquids and be like I would not be able to identify blood or semen.
Today I learned. That's funny.
Best podcast ever. Here we go.
Yeah. Great cold intro here. Doesn't know the taste of semen or blood. Have you been watching AEW at all?
Yes, I that's about the only thing I'm really like. I watch WWE pay-per-views because Jason Powell, ProWrestling.net, he's been having me on Mondays after the big pay-per-views on his website, streaming sort whatever. And so I've been on there to talk about the last few WWE pay-per-views, and I try to watch there. I listen to podcast wise, I listen to about 30 podcasts a week, 30 different podcasts. I listen to all of Conrad's podcasts, 83 Weeks with Eric Bischoff, the Arn Show, What Happened When with Tony Schiavone, Grilling with JR, and then Something to Wrestle with Bruce Pritchard. I also listen to all the ad-free content on ProWrestling.net with Jason Powell. He does his .net Weekly and his weekly Q&A. I listen to the PW Torch. I listen to all of Wade Keller's, stuff post Raw and SmackDown and AEW.
No Corey Graves?
No. And just those are my wrestling podcasts, like the Fix with Todd Martin, Bruce Mitchell stuff with the Torch. So I listen to all those, and that adds up to a lot. And then in addition to that, I'm listening to
I feel like you're missing the big one, and I'm waiting for you to say it.
Oh, I don't. What is the big one?
Talk is Jericho, baby.
I don't listen to that.
Really? You strike me as a Jericho guy.
I like Jericho. We got in a fight one time. Like we actually. So I was at the BWI Marriott back in the day. There was a pay-per-view, and I can't remember who Jericho wrestled, but Mikey Whipwreck had just been hired by WCW. Yeah. And he was walking around the bar, like looking for anyone to talk to. And he came up to me and my friends, and he was like, "Hey, what'd you think of my match?" And I was like, "Considering you worked with the worst worker in the entire locker room, Van Hammer, I think you did all right. You know, like, because I liked Mikey from ECW. I was, happy to see him actually getting paid.
Uh-huh.
And Mikey was like trying to fit in at the time. And so he went and ran to everyone else. He was just like, hey, this fucking Mark said Van Hammer's the worst worker, blah, blah, blah. You know, who the fuck is he to say what a fucking worker is, blah, blah, blah. So, fast forward, 30 years later, or however, 25 years later, however long it's been, everyone's just like, well, I am a fucking worker. I've made plenty of money in professional wrestling. I've done it. I was trained by some, I think, pretty reputable people along the way, and I think I understand the business of professional wrestling, and I think I'm qualified to talk about it. And so I think unequivocally I could say that Van Hammer was easily one of the worst fucking workers of all time. I don't think anyone would dispute that. So, but Jericho came up to me. He goes, "Who the fuck are you to say what a fucking good worker is?" Blah blah blah. And he got in my face, and I'm looking, and we're like fucking eye to eye because we're like, we're like the same height. He's bigger, but we're the same height. And I I'm at the my bravado has never been lacking. Throughout the years, even as a little kid, I got my ass beat, but I said some funny shit before then. I promise you. So anyway, so Jericho kind of, calls me out. And I'm looking at him just like, who the fuck are you? And he was like, excuse, I'm like, look at you. Like, what is Stone Cold, your fucking fashion role model? You got fucking cut off jean shorts, a fucking fanny pack. I'm just like, dude, that's just like, go buy a fucking shirt that's, over fucking $40. Like fucking dress the fucking part, asshole. And Jericho's just getting heated and he's ready to fucking punch me. And as the punch is coming, fucking Disco Inferno and Booker T grab me over their heads and carry me out of the bar. And
Disco Inferno.
they thought it was hilarious at the time, but fast forward like 3 years, like they're watching Survivor and they're like, Jericho, do you know who the fuck this guy is on fucking Survivor? Like, that's the guy that fucking made fun of your fucking jean shorts and fanny pack. And also fast forward to 2020, and this past Sunday I was rocking jean shorts and a fanny pack. So
that's bad.
Who am I to throw stones?
That's kind of the Rock wore that shit too, the fanny packs and stuff. It's pretty funny.
He did.
I was pre-Ayatollah of Rock and Roll, right? So he was still at WCW before he really took off.
Yeah. And I loved him at the time. And actually, I ran into him like right after he got to WWE, also at the BWI Marriott. And I walked up and I apologized. And he was just like, dude, it's cool. He actually bought me a beer.
He did? When was that?
Yeah. Like right after he went to WWE.
Oh, okay. Wow.
But since then, he has me blocked on Twitter, but he follows me on Instagram.
It's confusing. What do you say on Twitter?
I don't know. I have no idea. I don't think there's anything bad. As I said, because I'm a big fan of Jericho. I mean, like, I think Jericho is one of the highlight, like the musical number that a lot of people hated. I loved. I mean, like, here's my thing. I think that whoever's watching wrestling now is it. Like no one else is watching wrestling except for those people. So you have to find those avenues to find those missing viewers.
Mm-hmm.
And great quality matches and great storylines is not it. That's not how you find those missing viewers. Mm-hmm. The avenues to find those viewers is through social media of like a viral clip or a viral video or a viral YouTube deal. That's those openings that get those people. And I personally think, I mean, like, like let's say on average that AEW's viewership is 700,000 or 800,000. I don't care. I'm not going to argue, like let's just give a number, 800,000. Let's be nice, right? Say there's 800,000 people. Okay. That musical number, say that it hits those right avenues and it becomes this viral thing. I think there's 8 million lapsed wrestling fans out there that know who Chris Jericho is.
Sure. He's got few million followers at least on Instagram.
Yeah, but I don't even care if they're fucking followers. I just think there's 8 million people that either watch WCW or WWE that know who Chris Jericho is, know that he's entertaining, know that he's fucking great, see him do a fucking musical number, and they're like, "Holy, what is this? Jericho's still wrestling? Where is it?" You know, and then
What's AEW?
like,
Yeah.
yeah, and I think you know that's how you add 200,000 or 500,000 or even 1 million fucking new viewers that are just like, holy shit, I remember Chris Jericho. I liked Chris Jericho. He was funny. I remember wrestling. I liked wrestling sometimes. And let me give this a try. So I think that's the avenues to grow. Like Elias doing he released an album like last Monday, and all these people are like, oh, that's so stupid. I'm like, why is it? Number one, it cost them nothing. They did that fucking in house, so they
Right.
cost them no money to make it, right?
Yeah.
So they make it. The last time Elias dropped an EP, like a year and a half ago, it was number one on iTunes. Once again, this drops as number one on iTunes. So I don't know how many million number one on iTunes soundtracks. Okay, let's
Right. I was
Okay,
gonna
but
say,
still. All
probably
right,
not
so
that flop.
but just imagine how many millions of people go to iTunes to download music. They see Elias and WWE at the top of the search, number one. They're like, "Oh, what is this?" And and those people are just like, "Okay, I don't watch wrestling. I used to watch wrestling. I used to like wrestling. This is WWE. I know wrestling is on Monday nights, Monday Night Raw. They potentially watch Monday Night Raw. That's one of those avenues that you gain new viewers."
Yeah. He just spits gold, man. Like, he had a clipboard that he carried around for like what, 8 months, putting people
Oh,
on
it was so
lists,
great.
and it was
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah. So no, I mean, like Jericho is one of those guys that's amazing at reinventing himself. Like Matt Hardy is incredible about reinvent. Like I'm in my game room right now, and right across my game room is this huge portrait that Jeff Hardy painted for me for my birthday.
That must be nice.
The gray one there.
Oh, nice. Jeff paints. He always seemed like a little tortured artist. That makes sense. Yeah, so I went back and like maybe a year or two ago, started rewatching the Attitude Era Raws and SmackDowns. That was not a mistake. That was a lot of fun.
Oh, I'm sure. I spent this weekend watching the best of Halloween Havoc on the network, and uh, I was watching. It was let's see what some of the matches were. So I saw Flair and Sting versus Muda and Funk in the Terror Dome or Thunderdome cage.
Yeah.
And I remember that as a kid, like loving that match, and it holds up well. It's a good match. And then the Steiner
Anything
brothers
young
versus,
Flair holds up well.
oh yeah, Steiner brothers versus Nasty Boys is pretty good. But the best match, and I remember it being amazing at the time, and I've seen it since. I think one other time, but I watched it was Rey Mysterio versus Eddie Guerrero for the cruiserweight title at Halloween Havoc, and Rey Mysterio is wearing the purple outfit with the question marks. And I remember it being like one of the greatest matches I've ever seen. And watching it again yesterday, it is not only one of the greatest matches I've ever seen, it might be one of the most perfect matches ever done in the history of wrestling.
Isn't he like 16 or 17 then?
I think
Something
Ray
super
is
crazy.
20 maybe, but it's because like Ray athletically, I feel was at his peak and could do anything. And Eddie, I think could do anything Ray could, but he didn't need to. Like, I mean, like Ray is just there for the psychology, or Eddie's there for the psychology, and just tells the most. I mean, like every heel thing that he could do when it's the time to do it, just perfectly, he does.
He was
And
a
as I said,
storyteller. He was great.
in the history of wrestling, I think that might be the most perfect match I've ever seen ever. So, which is great. Who knew?
I'll go back and watch that. So Brendan just clicked on.
Oh, sweet.
Hold on. I'm gonna put him in. Ready?
Yeah.
So Brendan thinks that we are doing Australian Survivor. This will be fun.
quite the professional.
Hey, stupid.
G'day, mate.
Hey, don't say you haven't had bigger lies in your life.
It's 8 inches.
Not the one I was talking about.
Well, you missed about 20-minute riveting conversation about our old school wrestling just loves that we had when we were younger. So you didn't miss a whole lot.
Yeah, it's fair play. I saw your costume over the weekend.
Oh, the Shawn Michaels.
Oh,
that was
yeah.
great.
I do not want to be misrepresented by that, because like so many people assume that I love Shawn Michaels because I love wrestling. They're like, dude, like Shawn Michaels is like the best ever. And I'm like, nope. Because like for me, it's either you're a Shawn Michaels guy or a Ric Flair guy. I don't feel like you could be both. And there's so many people that are like that.
Can we get a big woo from you since you're a Ric Flair guy? Sorry, I was talking over that.
Woo! There you go. So, but yeah, no, I love Ric Flair, and I don't think you can love both equally. Like, you know, like Flair says that, but Flair says that about anyone that pays him. I mean, like Flair is just like, I love the Green Bay Packers, and I love the 49ers, and I love the Florida Gators, and I love the Georgia Bulldogs, and I'm like, motherfucker, pick a team. I mean, like for me, I put it out there. Like I used to love football. Well, I used to love teams. And then I got asked to do fantasy football. I'm like, no, it's going to ruin football for me.
It does.
And they're like, no, you'll watch more. And I'm like, bullshit. Like, you know, this is going to fuck it up. I got to root against my team, blah, blah, blah. And then I started doing fantasy football, like, 12 years ago. And I love it. But people are like, who's your favorite team? I'm like, whoever's on my fucking starting lineup, motherfucker. Like, final score don't mean shit. However, I can watch the Jacksonville Jaguars versus the Cleveland fucking Browns. And as long as I got a fucking player in it, I will fucking enjoy that fucking game. So at least for what my fucking guys are doing. Once again, don't give a fuck about that final score whatsoever. You can be fucking 18-0, which I don't think is possible, or
I mean, if they make playoffs, it is.
Yeah,
that's the number you threw out is 18-0.
Yeah. Well, I will tell you a funny football story, and a lot of people don't know the story. So Dixie Carter, a good friend of mine. I love Dixie, and I'm not being mean here. So Dixie used to own TNA Wrestling, and she brought in Paul Heyman to possibly run TNA, and they had lunch together. And as I said, this story is not out there, and I think it's an amazing story. And anyway, Dixie was like, Paul, what would you do to help TNA Wrestling? Like, what's your vision? And Paul countered. He goes, Dixie, I have a question for you. He goes, let me relay this as something you would understand. He goes, you're a big football fan, right? She goes, oh yeah. He goes, what do you like, the Tennessee Titans? She goes, oh, that's my team, Tennessee Titans. He goes, okay, so the NFL season is 16 games. He goes, let's just say TNA Wrestling up until now has been an NFL season. What do you think TNA Wrestling's record is? She goes, I'm sure you would say that we're 8-8, but I disagree. I think we're a little better than that. He goes, you're 0-16, Dixie.
Love Paul.
And she ended the meeting.
No, but she had a lot of stars though back then. She had like AJ Styles and a lot of pretty big.
Doesn't matter. They were 0-16. They didn't do them right. I mean, like they were. They never put the pieces together at the right time.
Right.
Ever. And I as I said, I love Dixie. I think Dixie as a human being is awesome. I think Dixie's heart as a wrestling promoter is one of the best ever. So, but I just I felt that there were so many people in her ear that had their own vested interests at their heart that worked against her, throughout the entire thing. I think Jeff had his mission. I think Hulk had his mission. I think everyone. I think everyone that had her ear had their own mission, and they didn't care about the greater good of the entire product. And
That's
it
what
sucks.
that's what I love about Jericho, though, is he doesn't care about putting other people over. I think that's the coolest thing.
Yeah, no, I think he is, in the history of wrestling, he is one of the ultimate good guys.
Yeah, for sure.
Like watching him do what he like. The orange, like I bought one wrestling T-shirt in the last 3 years, and it was an Orange Cassidy shirt. Like I love to get, like I think he's fun. I love it. It's just fun. And I embrace fun. And when Jericho started working with Orange Cassidy, I was just like, I feel like Jericho is better than this. Like, I feel like he's leveling himself down. And it's not a knock on Orange Cassidy. It's just like if you look at the entire roster of AEW, like I think the most recognizable guy you have is Jericho. And I say you protect him for like maybe one more year before you take him down to a lower level. And the fact that he's not so like jealous or needy of that top spot, that he's just like, hey, like, hopefully me dropping George Cassidy, but I hope it doesn't hurt me, but if it does, it does. But like, I can get back to where I need to be. And I just, it's just a selflessness that Jericho has with his character that I love. And I, as I said, I think as a human being in the history of professional wrestling, I think is so admirable. I think Matt Hardy is one of those guys as well.
Oh, absolutely. And
definitely.
he probably hasn't blocked you on Twitter, though.
It's kind of like it.
I said he probably didn't block you on Twitter, though, Matt Hardy.
Matt Hardy does not have me on. We're still friends. I actually just renovated my living room, and the kitchen's all it's I just did an open deal, and I had an.
So you deleted the wall?
I deleted it. Yes, I have. Me and Matt Hardy, we're on each other's Christmas card list.
Oh,
so
did you guys kiss?
One of Matt's Christmas cards sitting on my table just
That's
for
cool.
this podcast.
By the way, Brandon, I feel like you had a very muted response to logging on, and it's Jonny Fairplay, not someone from Survivor Australia.
Yeah, I was very surprised. I'm still kind of starstruck, Johnny.
And how
Brandon told me that this was going to be... Do you watch Survivor Australia at all?
Yeah, we covered that. He's going to be doing a Patreon.
You know what this jacket is?
No.
This is the Ultimate Warrior
yeah.
WCW ring jacket.
That's dope.
That fucking airbrush duster that he wore with the OWN, like One Warrior Nation instead of NWO.
Yep.
Dog shit, the worst shit ever.
Didn't he?
I saw it. I'm just like, I must own that.
Didn't he only last like months there?
Oh no! Hogan had to get his fucking victory back. Come on, man.
Yeah.
All right, Johnny. So going back to Brandon.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what time it is for you, but we were supposed to do this interview at 11 o'clock my time, and Brandon was saying that it was going to be Kate from Australia 2016, and I was like, sick. That's awesome. And she might be a recurring guest or whatever.
Oh. And
I went to go take a little nap before the show, and my alarm didn't go off or whatever. And I text Brandon, I'm like, fuck, I'm so sorry.
You're in your mid-20s. Why do you have to nap?
Well, you can only nap then.
I wake up at like 4 in.
Can you nap now?
Oh,
like,
yeah, you wake
I
up
can't.
early.
I worship people that can take naps.
Well, it wasn't supposed to, like, normally I'd be asleep by now. I go to bed at like 9.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, once you have kids, kind of sleep schedule's out the window.
Yeah, I don't have kids. I don't have that excuse.
Yeah. Well,
I do a podcast every night. So I go to bed at like midnight, 1, and then I wake up at 6.
Can't do that.
That's a crazy schedule, man.
I can't drink caffeine anymore. So I have to sleep. It sucks. I used to love coffee. So
Yeah.
how did you, speaking of, so I'm like relatively new actually to like podcasts in general. Like I didn't start even listening to any of them until probably the beginning of this year. How did you and Matt come together to create this NSFW?
It wasn't. It was so I went to the NWA Legends Fest thing in Charlotte like 4 years ago, and I met Conrad Thompson, who does something to wrestle with and what happened when he has the network of shows like something to wrestle with. I think they average 2 million downloads an episode.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's the king.
Yeah.
And so at the time, Conrad was doing the Ric Flair podcast. So Conrad he goes, Jonny Fairplay. He goes, I don't watch Survivor. He goes, but I know who you are. I know the whole dead grandma lie. You're one of the most reality stars of all time. And I'm like, everything you're saying is true. And he goes, we're doing the Ric Flair podcast. He goes, I'd like to bring you on to do a thing called where I read mean tweets Ric Flair. And I was like, cool. I was just like, hit me up. And Flair stopped doing the podcast, blah, blah, blah. And then, so then I was like, it's like, well, fuck. I was like, Conrad did the Ric Flair podcast. That was doing pretty good. And then he started this Something to Wrestle With. And then I saw the numbers. I'm just like, let me hit up Conrad. I'm just like, hey, I'm like, that didn't work out. But like, is there anything else that, we could potentially do together? Because you have a pretty good platform. And he was just like, what do you envision? And I was just like, what about a Survivor podcast? And he was like, let's do it. And I was like, okay. I'm like, what do I need to do? He goes, talk with Dave Hancock. He'll do this, and this. Or sorry, Dave Silva. And so Dave Silva did the graphics, put together everything, and he's just like, what do you want to call it? I'm like, I don't know. What do you want to call it? And so I put it on social media, and we called it Survival of the Fairest with Jonny Fairplay and Conrad Thompson. And it was too cute by a half, because I think there were so many people that like searching for it. They got Survival of the Fittest, and like it just like it didn't. It was good, but it wasn't perfect. So anyway, so me and Conrad, we covered season 36 of Survivor, Hustlers, Heroes, Healers, whatever. We covered that season, and so at the end of the season, I'm just like, okay, well, the season's over. Like, what are we gonna do in the interim before the next season? And he was like, Matt Kuhn, who does the music, he's a Survivor fan. Maybe you guys can interview survivors once a week in the off season. He goes, I'm tapping out until next season. He goes, I'm good. And I'm like, okay. So Matt Kuhn was my co-host in the interim, and we did some really amazing podcasts. Like we interviewed Coach, and one of my favorite podcasts ever was with Fabio, which is insane. Like people had broken into his house, and he broke into some people's house in Malibu, like during the podcast. Like it was nuts. So anyway, it's really good. So anyway, so Matt Kuhn is my co-host, and then the next season's about to start. And so I was like, hey, Conrad, I'm like, the next season's about to start. You ready? And he was like, oh, no, fuck that. Like, I hate it. And Hustlers, Heroes, Healers, it was a shit season. And he was like, I hate it. He goes, I never watched Survivor until this, and I didn't enjoy it. And he goes, I don't know. Like, well, I don't want you to do something you don't like. He goes, hey, you got Matt Kuhn. He likes the show. You got the platform. Enjoy. Ride it out. All the money's yours. I don't care. So, and all the money was mine before then. Like, that's the thing with Conrad. Conrad's just like, I don't need your money. Like, take it. So, which was incredible. So anyway, so we had sponsors and all that. And so I had Matt Kuhn on, and me and Matt Kuhn started. I'm like, hey, I'm like, we're here, but I feel like there's another level. But I really feel like people are having trouble finding us. And so Matt Kuhn came up with Survivor NSFW, Survivor Not Safe for Work.
Yeah.
And and that was our
Much
platform. And so then we covered, I guess, Ghost Island, me and Matt Kuhn, and things were going well. And then the next season, David vs. Goliath started. And, I was looking at Rob Cesternino's model with the Patreon and with the live shows, and also looking at Conrad's model with the live shows with Bruce Pritchard and Tony Schiavone. And I'm just like, hey, I want, and Matt Kuhn was like, I don't want to do any of that because I don't want to do live shows and I don't want to do Patreon because I think we need to just go slow and build it. And I'm like, fuck that. Like, let's do this shit. And he wasn't down. And Matt Bischoff, who was also on Survivor, had bought a T-shirt. And if you go to JonnyFairplay.com and order a T-shirt, you get a phone call from me, Jonny Fairplay, thanking you for your purchase. So I called. I'm just like, Matt Bischoff, what's up, motherfucker? And he was like, what's up? And he was just like, and I was just like, why did you get a T-shirt? He was just like, dude, he goes, I listen to the podcast. I think it's great. He's just like, I've been thinking about doing a podcast. He was like, he goes, I listen to like 1 or 2 podcasts a week, and yours is one of the 2 if I'm listening to one. And I was like, awesome. And he was just like, he's like, dude, he goes, he's like, if you have any advice, blah blah blah, and me and Matt Kuhn, I thought we're doing a good job, but like the more we kept going and the more I kept pushing for live shows, and the more I kept pushing for the Patreon stuff, the more like he was just not happy because he was just like, oh, all this motherfucker cares about is this other shit. I'm just like, yes, like.
But isn't that kind of the end game? Is to, I mean, if you're gonna make something big, is to get that stuff going.
Yeah,
I don't know what was his end game.
I don't know. So because like the crazy. So anyway, so I was just like, hey, like I feel like we're going in 2 different directions. Matt Bischoff, a previous player, he's looking to do a podcast. I'm just like, I'm going to do a practice one with him just to see how the chemistry is. And he was like, cool. It was no animosity, no ill will. And then the crazy thing is, Matt Kuhn ended up doing Truth or Consequence. That like Matt Kuhn basically ended up running Vince Russo's Patreon.
Oh, okay. He ends up in Patreon anyways.
Yeah. So I don't know if that conversation was happening at the same time, and he was like, hey,
foot out the door.
Who knows? And honest, as me and Matt Kuhn are still friends. I mean, like, there's a wrestling promotion in High Point, North Carolina, called Revolution Wrestling Authority, and I'm the heel color commentator on that pro. When they were running shows, they're going to start again next year. But when we were running shows, like, he was just like, hey, I want you to be my heel color commentator. Who do you want to do play-by-play? And I was like, Matt Kuhn. Yeah. And he was like, oh, you guys used to do the podcast together. Are you guys cool? I'm like, I think so. Like, nothing's changed as far as I'm concerned. And I hit up Matt and he's like, love to. And,
I feel like,
and he was, it was really funny because like we did a show, we were commentating, and it was Flying Brian Jr., Brian Pillman Jr.
Yeah.
Versus God, who did he go against? So man, I can envision his face. He was in NXT for a tournament. I don't know. Anyway, so the end of the match, like one of the finishing sequence was God, what's this? What? Jeez, I'm doing so horrible telling the story. The end of the match was a Liger bomb going into something, and God, Jason. The other guy's name was Jason something. Anyway, great wrestler. I'm so mad I can't remember his name. Anyway, so Jason versus Brian. There's a Liger bomb at the end. And so Matt's so excited because like they were actually like recreating the finish between Jushin Thunder Liger and Flying Brian from like one of the first cruiserweight matches that basically put the cruiserweight title on the map. And so Matt's so pumped to call this move, and so the guy does the move, and Matt Kuhn goes, Michinoku driver, and I'm like,
the wrong name.
or a Liger bomb, and he was like, like without saying it, he's just like, fuck me, are you fucking
wrong
like,
Asian wrestler.
did Michinoku driver come from? And so the whole thing, so it was really cool.
Taka Michinoku.
Yeah,
That's well. I'm glad you have Matt though. His voice is so weird, but you guys have such good chemistry.
we have great chemistry. I've never been so happy because I used to do a random podcast with X-Pac. We did
Sean Waltman.
Yeah, we used to do a podcast, like we attempted to do it every week. It didn't happen every week. And Sean, I was just like, Sean, I got 2 little girls, blah, 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 and he was just like, brother, I got you. It's good. We're good. We're good. And, and he hit me up at like 3 a.m. He's like, you want to go like an hour? But it was so incredible because like each week there was something that Sean could just really deep dive into. Like I remember doing a podcast like the day after Robin Williams committed suicide, and Sean's just like, I've got 2 hours worth of conversation about this.
Wow.
He's like, let's go. He's just like, because you're talking to a guy that's been depressed. It's tried to kill himself.
He's been down that pathway.
Yeah. And I was just like, oh my God. And we had an incredible podcast, but the problem was the frequency. So, and the best part, like every time is just like, there's no reason to go over an hour. We're not. And I'm like, okay, you say this every time and I'm ready to be done in an hour. And fast forward 2.5 hours later and you're still telling a story about, fucking, the Lightning Kid and Chaz.
Chaz. Oh.
Brandon, I hope we don't run.
Love of wrestling, brother.
What, Brandon?
I said, I hope we don't run into that problem. No more scheduling 11 o'clock Eastern interviews.
Yes.
Well,
that was a Jonny Fairplay call. So.
Yeah. I think
for the record, I hate 11 p.m. podcasts.
Yeah, it's no good for anyone.
I invite this upon myself.
Yeah, I think my favorite one that I've seen you do though recently was the Dave Ball one, because he's like this kind of weird dude in his season of Samoa, and like you don't really expect anything of him. He's got a couple funny one-liners, but he kind of leaves the show silently, and then you get him on this podcast and he just spits fire for like 90 fucking straight minutes. Can you hear me?
I lost. I heard none of that.
Am I back? Because I said I had an unstable internet. Am I back? Okay. I was gonna say
you're good now.
All right. My favorite podcast you've done recently was with Dave Ball, right? Because he's this unassuming guy on Samoa who has a couple kind of weird, quirky one-liners, and he looks like Kevin Spacey. And then he gets on your podcast, and he's like this insane, crazy person that just spits fucking fire for 90 minutes, and it's
I love
amazing.
Him.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, he get ready. He's doing a weekly podcast under the Survivor NSFW umbrella.
No.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I just want to interact with him because he's just such a crazy person. I love it. Brendan, you got to listen to that podcast. It's amazing.
He's better from afar.
I will.
Like,
Brandon I've been off Twitter for maybe like 5 years now.
Yeah. No, he is so amazing. It's so
he's like brilliant. He's brilliant.
When he's the smartest person to ever play Survivor.
Yeah.
And he'll explain it to you in case you're wondering. Yeah. But no, we were trying to with me in the off season, I like to try to find guests that normally aren't doing podcasts, or if they are, like my podcast with Fabio, it's probably a 2-hour podcast, and I'm a firm believer in the 1-hour podcast. That's I feel like that's the sweet spot. But I think we went pretty close to 2 hours with Fabio, and I don't think the word Survivor was ever mentioned in the podcast.
I bet he never watched it again after he played.
I don't think he watched it before he played.
Yeah. He was at my live show during Edge of Extinction. He came to my live show in Los Angeles, and it was like right before they were about to leave for season 40. And so it was like me, Fabio, Jay, and I think Phil from the Survivor Specialist. We were talking, and and they were just like, Earl's on the way. Like, do you think Earl got the call? And I'm just like, yeah, Earl got the call, but he just had a kid and he's not going to go. And Fabio's like, what are you talking about? And we're just like, season 40, it's all winners. Like, are you sure? And I'm like, yeah, I'm sure. And he was like, do you think all the calls have gone out? And I'm just like, yeah.
Yeah, they're leaving.
He goes, are you sure? And Jay goes, they've sent in their socks, because Jay was Adam's roommate at the time.
Yeah.
And Jay's like, they've sent in their fucking socks. It's locked in. And Fabio goes, but you don't think there might be like a couple more calls? And I was like, oh, I'm like, this is the worst news ever. I mean, because like Fabio's just like, it's the first I'm hearing about winners, but like, there's still got to be a chance, right? And the fact that he never, like, if like that's my problem with returnee season. Like, I mean, it was really evident in Big Brother this past time. You had the pre-game alliances; they worked it out. Like, there's a flaw in the game of Big Brother where if you have 6 strong competitors in competitions, you can control the entire narrative of the entire game. That's like having 2 separate tribes breaks up that potential, and especially like tribe swaps breaks up that potential of a pre-game alliance controlling the game. So, and that's the difference between Survivor and Big Brother. So the loophole in Big Brother is 6 people working together going into the game. It's game over. Like, you can win in that conglomerate. And so, so for Survivor, even though there is the breakdown of tribes and swaps and all that can work against that. In addition to that, I mean, on a season of all winners, like there's been 40 seasons. Sanders won twice, so like 39 wasn't even invited. So there was only 37 people. The game, all 37 people, and say, hey, you might be on the season, and then that breaks up. Maybe
Heidick.
I had Heidick on my podcast. I thought it was I think he explained the bow and arrow thing.
Yeah.
And if you want to accept his explanation, then I think if you choose to accept his explanation, then you have plausible deniability to put him on your show.
Okay.
So listen to the podcast and decide for yourself.
I'll have to listen to that one for sure. Yeah, go ahead though.
So, but I mean, just to muddy the waters on pregame alliances, I call it. What's it going to hurt to call? I mean, like, it's motherfuckers' jobs to call motherfuckers to do a show. Right. Like, that's their job. You can't call 37 people, because I know on a regular season you're calling more than 37 people. So just call 37 people. So call Fabio and be like, Fabio, what's up? He's like, dude. You're like, all right,
what's Survivor?
We're good.
Would you? Yeah. Go ahead. Finish up.
No, but I would muddy the waters.
Would you have? Did you ever try to play Big Brother? I feel like that fits your skill sets pretty perfectly.
No. I think it does fit my skill set. I think I would do well. I would do a celebrity version. I have no desire. Like, once again, I have a 3-year-old daughter and a 12-year-old daughter, and I have no desire to be away from my children for. So they were gone. Like, this last season of Big Brother was 99 days, and then they were in. They had to quarantine for 14, and I think they were even there before that. I have no desire to be away from my daughters for 120 days.
No, that's ridiculous.
I mean, for anything. I mean, I love my kids. So
yeah, I feel like this was like
Survivor's a nice tight 6 weeks.
Right. I feel like the kid thing was like the big turning point in your life.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing, right?
It's straight. I mean, like, you're talking to a guy that, as a black hole where a heart should be, but at the same time, like, when it comes to them two, like I'm fucking jelly. So
Yeah, it filled that hole.
yeah. So it's weird. And they both know, I mean, like they both have me wrapped around their finger just so ridiculously. It like, I mean, like, it's like I'm straight up fucking evil, and I know I'm fucking evil, and I know I'm great at fucking being evil. And like if you're some dude, like, God bless you. I feel sorry for you. So, but those two, they fuck up everything that is bad about me. It's just like, like
You had
oh,
a pumpkin
like my
patch and a plaid shirt.
yeah. Well, I mean, like my my daughter was my 3-year-old. We were leaving to go watch live music on Sunday, and she has this little like puppy dog purse, and she goes, I need to bring 3 lip glosses, and I was just like, you don't need 3 lip glosses. You don't need any lip glosses. And she was like, I'll just pack 2. It's okay. And I was just like, pack 2. I'm having a conversation with a 3-year-old about the appropriate number of lip glosses to bring to live music on a Sunday afternoon.
And of course
Instead of watching my fucking Sunday ticket in every fucking game on one fucking channel on Game Mix.
Yeah, but you wouldn't have it any other way, man, because you do have a heart.
Never. So happy.
Yeah,
Johnny, how old were you when you had your first one? 12 years.
The first one I know about. Let's see. I'm 46 minus 12. No one said there'd be math. So what?
34.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, changes. Yeah, I was 31 when we had Izzy. So.
And I think her mom was 21, maybe. her mom had come out as bisexual on America's Next Top Model, and like I met her 4 days after she finished filming that.
I do remember that.
Yeah, we did a show called Camp Reality, and she was like, I was like, what show are we on? She goes, I just finished Top Model. I came out as bisexual. I've never given a blowjob. And I was like, my name's Jonny Fairplay. You don't need to meet anyone else here.
Well, clearly it wasn't just a blowjob.
What?
I said clearly it wasn't just a blowjob.
Well, she had never given one before. She had by the end of that weekend, I assure you.
Heyo.
So, I just wish it would have been with me.
Oh, that was awesome. Oh, fair play. Speaking of like, back to your daughter, I thought one of the funniest like moments that you had was when she was talking about how cool she thought Courtney Yates was. Yeah. And how by comparison, since she was on your show, you were now cool because you had the cool girl on.
Yeah, it's not. I mean,
love that moment.
Well, so like I do it shockingly. I do prep work for podcasts, so yeah. I go on YouTube and I try to deep dive. I try not to find like I watch the the hits, but I also look for the other stuff. And so I was deep diving on some Courtney Yates videos, and Piper's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm just like, I think you might like it. And she's like, I get the eye roll, because she's 12 and she knows everything. Yeah. And if it's not The Office or Harry Potter, it's stupid. So
teaching her well.
So anyway, so she watches and she's just like, this is the greatest human being on the planet. And I'm like, right? And she was like, you know her? And I'm just like, yeah, we're friends. And she was like, you just got
Shut up.
Yeah. No, Courtney Yates is cool. I mean, like I know
cool.
Plenty of people that have her as their favorite survivor ever, and it's not a wrong pick. I think Lex might have Courtney Yates as his favorite survivor of all time.
Lex is one of my favorites.
Yeah, same here. So, but so is Courtney. So.
Yeah, for sure. Who is your non Jonny Fairplay favorite?
There's not. It's just I'm my favorite so far and beyond. It's not even close.
So second place is still Jonny Fairplay.
Like even if I kind of like someone, then I begin to hate them because I'm not them. So
is that what happened with Tony?
No, I like Tony. Like, it's
hard not to.
Like I talked during season 40. I talked to Tony pretty much every week throughout the season.
Yeah, I remember.
And he was just so anxious in his conversation. He's just like, I can't tell you because he appreciates my love of the game so much. I mean, like I don't like so many people. They're just like, Johnny gets spoilers, blah, blah, and I'm just like, motherfucker, go back and listen to any season of my fucking podcast. Like I picked that fucking loser Chelsea to win fucking Edge of Extinction.
Yeah, it didn't happen.
I mean, she sucks in real life. So yeah,
really?
if I knew anything, I wouldn't pick her to fucking win. So yeah, I know nothing going in. I make random picks because I think the game. I've gone on record. I think Survivor is 60% luck. If you had to break it, like I'm not going to go over all the other components, but I'm a firm believer of Survivor is to win Survivor is 60% luck. And so with that being the case, like, if we're doing a tribal cast analysis before season begins, and I'm looking at the cast, like, it's with the outcome being 60% luck, I can pick fucking anybody and it doesn't fucking matter. But but knowing who wins, I don't think helps me make a better podcast. I mean, like, if the podcast is, let's show how smart Jonny Fairplay is, like, I mean, I guess, well, if that were the case, then I would look it up, but that's not the podcast I make. And no. I think it's more fun when I'm wrong.
Yeah, because you want to be excited and surprised about things to make it an actual interesting listen. So why would why would you look up spoilers?
And I'm the same guy that, like when a TV show or when a movie, when we used to go to theaters and, the world was normal, like every Avengers movie, me and Piper, we went opening night, every single movie, every Star Wars that's come out in the last, however many years, we had opening night. Like, we have the big ticket that you get to leave with, with the hologram on it, and you get the fucking special, like, fucking, $40 fucking seats, recliners and shit. I mean, like, because I don't want some asshole to fucking ruin a fucking movie for me, and I don't want Survivor ruined for me either.
No,
like I just care about it as a viewer. And I want to give an honest and genuine reaction as a viewer. And do I think I understand the game more than probably anyone that's played it? Yeah. And are there potentially a couple other people that understand it a little more than me? Maybe. I doubt it. Like, I think we're probably tied. I think there's probably 10 of us that understand the game more than anyone. And honestly, like, we're about to start season 2 of Survivor, Australian Survivor. We're going to start season 2 episode. I've never seen the season, but I've done a podcast with Luke Toki, and talking with Luke Toki, I would say my conversation with him, he potentially knows more about Survivor than I do.
Wow.
And
I'm excited to get to this season. Then I'm going to get started when you guys start it.
Because I'm sitting there like talking to him, and I'm like, strategically, because like I don't just play the game of Survivor against 15 other castaways. I'm playing against and with production. So mostly with and a little bit against for whatever they need to do. But I have all that in my head, and I'm also trying to make great, like my goal, even beyond playing the game of Survivor, is creating great television. Yeah. And so all that is going on in my head, and I'm just like, so I do this, and this. And Luke's like, yeah, he goes, but what about this? And like and I'm just like, holy fuck. Like, I'm just like, yeah, but what if you, and he's like, nope, but you do this. And like, it was just like punch, counter punch, punch, counter punch of just the what I consider two of the greatest television. I mean, because I have seen highlights of Luke's gameplay, and as I said, I'm very excited to see it, play throughout. But like, just on highlights, I'm just like, oh my God, this guy fucking gets it. And to go punch, counter punch with him on how to manipulate production, the game, the other players, everything all together in one ensemble piece. I think, as I said, I would like to think I'm tied with him, but if not, I think he's better. So I think he's truly one of the greatest remarkable characters in the history of reality television.
It's a really big statement.
It's weird. It all wraps back into your interest in wrestling, right? Like,
yeah.
how do you manipulate the crowd? How do you manipulate what's going on around you? And it makes sense that you have such a good podcast because of that as well.
Well, that's what I brought to Survivor. I mean, I love the villains versus the good guys, the heels versus the baby faces. Like when I was 4 years old, my dad started taking me to professional wrestling. And at age 4, my dad was like, root on the bad guys because the good guys are pussies. I'm rooting for the bad guys. I used to go to the Greensboro Coliseum every week or every month, in like 1978, so I remember, Andre the Giant, back then, and Wahoo McDaniel and Ric Flair and Ricky Steamboat and Jay Youngblood and all these guys, and my dad he's like, root for the bad guys. So I liked Roddy Piper and Ric Flair, and then, from that, watching Superman, like I'm rooting for the Joker instead of Batman. I'm rooting for Lex Luthor instead of Superman. And
Johnny Lawrence instead of Karate Kid.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. And so when it was time for me to do Survivor, no one prior to me and all of reality television, like anyone that was a bad guy, they were just like, oh, I got edited that way. I'm not really that way. Like Puck, was one of the first, reality TV show bad guys ever. Puck never saw himself as a bad guy. Richard Hatch never saw himself as a bad guy. Jerry Manthe never saw herself as a bad guy. Like none of these guys saw themselves as a bad guy. And I went in, day one, I'm just like, I want to be the biggest bad guy in the history of reality television and Survivor. And they're like, production is literally jerking off. They're just like, oh my God, this motherfucker said he wanted to be the bad guy.
It was just kind of you and Dr. Will, really.
Yeah. And I wasn't familiar with Dr. Will. Like I remember going to the Playboy Mansion one time, and we were riding back on the bus, because like when you go to the Playboy Mansion, you park at UCLA and then you all ride on a bus together because there's limited parking at the mansion. Oh, yeah. And so we're riding back on the bus. It's me and Burton from Survivor and Will and Boogie, and
that's
Will and Boogie
crew right
like,
there, man.
And they're like, "Hey, what's up?" And I'm like, "What's up?" And they're like, "Chilltown." I'm like, "Chilltown to you." And they're like, "You have no idea who we are, do you?" And I'm like, "Zero." And they're like, "Mike Boogie, Dr. Will." We're like you on Big Brother. I'm like, "Yeah, I don't watch that shit." They're just like, "Oh," they're like, "Dude," they're like, "This is our guy." And I'm just
That's
like,
funny,
yeah.
Man. Did it?
But I've gone back. I am an unofficial member of Chilltown. I think they're great guys. I love them both. I still, Boogie's got his problems. I still love you, Boogie. I still talk to Boogie. I say never abandon a friend, especially a friend in need. And so I think they're both awesome people.
Cool. I have no idea what's going on with Boogie.
It's do a Google search.
I will. Okay.
Boogie, praying for you. I love you.
I'm gonna have to do a quick search after this. Yeah. Do you watch that, or did you just only watch it because there's kind of nothing going on this season?
Oh yeah. No. Yeah. We made an executive decision to cover it. So we really loaded our plate, loaded our plates with, we were doing coverage of Big Brother, then the World's Toughest Race came out on Amazon, and now we have the Amazing Race. And so we were doing coverage of everything. And Big Brother is such a chore in that it's 3 episodes a week. We were doing 2 podcasts a week. And, you know, I've met so many Big Brother people over the years that I had a Big Brother person each week as a guest. And oh my God, so time consuming for
soul sucking.
Soul sucking is correct. So no, I'm excited because, like, you know, like, so like for the patrons, we do the weekly Q&A, and then we're going to do Australian season 2 of Survivor. And then just for the freeloaders at survivor.nsfw.com, we're going to keep covering the Amazing Race. And then as soon as that's done in the interim, we're going to go back to our weekly Survivor interviews. And then Zach and Karen are covering Big Brother Canada. And I'm gonna tap. I'm not watching. Like I can't. And I've heard that the Canadian version is better, and I believe them.
Because they're just more polite, or what?
Maybe. Like, it's so funny, like, that you say that. I don't know if they're polite. I subtract the word polite and I replace it with the word honest. Because, like, I did WFX wrestling in 2011. It was like me and Jesse Goddard. We did this program. It was like from February to October that year. We were there every 3 weeks in Winnipeg. And the promoter, his name is Mike Davison, awesome guy. And Mike could be like, and you know, I just woke it up or whatever, and I'm just like, fine. He's like, going good? I was like, yeah, it's fine. Like, I'm awake. Like, you know, like I would rather be sleeping. You know, I'm here. You know, like we're doing morning radio or whatever. You know, and he was just like, okay, and like, but he has like this wanting look in his eye, like not like he wanted to blow me or anything. Like, he's just like, you know, like you know, ask me. and I was like, Mike, how's your morning going? He goes, pretty good. I had diarrhea earlier, but now it's good. And I'm just like, wow. I'm like, you guys are just honest motherfuckers here. Like, you know, like, you know, it's just like, you know, my wife's fucking the neighbor, but, you know, the bills are paid.
I had Tim Hortons.
Yeah, I had Tim Hortons.
What part of Canada was that in? Because then you go to somewhere like Quebec where people are just straight up assholes.
Well, that's it. Yeah. So, well, Winnipeg, they're all ridiculously nice and especially honest. And props to Mike Davison for being super honest and telling me about his diarrhea.
That's great, man.
I hope that's all sorted out now.
Yeah.
So I tried to reach out to War Dog, right, to see if he'd come on. He kind of big timed me. He said he was really busy doing his Cobra Kai podcast, which I think was only 1 episode, wasn't it?
Yes. War Dog doesn't do podcasts.
I know. He's just such an interesting guy that I just want to talk to him. Really, I just kind of want to. I really want to ask him, like, who taught him how to, like, throw a ball.
Well, I kind of envisioned that he didn't have a father figure growing up.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really, but
I mean,
I don't know.
How could he? I mean, I'm not being mean. I feel like that's a pretty fair assumption. I said it on the podcast, and I know he listened to every podcast, and he didn't say it wasn't true. So, but yeah, I have an autographed War Dog picture on my pool table.
He's awesome. Yeah, I would love to sit in on a chat with him.
He's literally insane.
That's great. All right, man. Well, it's late for you guys. We'll get it wrapped up here. So okay. Appreciate your time.
Brendan, what's your last question?
My last question.
7.5 inches.
Around.
Well, I was expecting, a little bit smaller, and I know you're a liar, so.
No, it's 7.5. Like, I lied earlier and said it was 8.
All right. Well, I'll ask your girlfriend the next time I see her.
Okay. How would she know?
I forgot to ask you. So I was listening to one of Rob's podcast a while back, and
Mhm.
what the hell did Jebediah Kovath mean?
Jebediah Kovad, Sean Cohen.
Yeah, what does that mean?
Rhino is really insane. I poke fun at others, and I don't mean insane. Like in 2020, you have to really explain everything. But I don't think War Dog is certifiable or anything. Rhino is certifiable. He is. I think he's clinically insane.
Oh, wow.
And Rhino just says just random weird fucking shit. Like it was so funny. He like we were all hanging out one night, and this girl was just like, "Did you win Survivor?" And he was like, "I did pretty good." And she was like, "How much money did you make?" And he goes, "I blew it all on ringtones on Jamster." I was just, what the fuck? And like we had a booking agent named Mark Marcuse. He was on the show Average Joe, and so he used to call we used to call him Average Mark, because he was on Average Joe, and Rhino would call him Average James Dark. It's just like, what the fuck does that mean?
Yeah, it's like another level.
Yeah, so like we were hanging out one night, and and somehow Sean Cohen's name, and he was like, "Oh, Jebediah Kovad, big star of the show, Jebediah Kovad. You might remember him from Survivor Pro Islands." I was like, "What just happened?" So yeah, that was a Rhinoism. Jebediah Kovad, big star of Survivor Pro Islands.
That's really funny. Oh, that's
the
great.
fact that Rob C remembers it. So here's my best Jebediah Kovac story, and I don't know if the entire story was told on Rob C's podcast. So, but it's I think it's the Vano. No. It was I think it was the 10th anniversary party, and so Jebediah Kovac, Sean Cohen, is driving his brand new Range Rover. So he's in the front seat driving. I'm in the passenger seat. In the back seat is Rob C, Thunder D, and JP from Survivor Vanuatu. And we're driving to Barney's Beanery for like an after party deal. And JP's like, "I got to take a shit." And Jebediah Kovad is like, "We're almost there." And he was like, "Don't worry about it." And JP shit in his hand and threw it out the window.
Holy shit.
So Rob alludes to something really fucked up happening with JP, but he doesn't say what it is, and that must be it, because that's disgusting.
Shit in his hand and threw it out the window. and Jebediah Kovad's brand new Range Rover.
Jesus Christ. Did you at least have some wet naps around?
Well, that's the thing. Like, where did he wipe his hand?
He didn't. It's on his pants.
I'm guessing the Range Rover.
I guess it would have had to be.
Forever unclean.
So that.
Forever unclean there.
Dude,
yeah.
You gotta fucking try to lemon law that motherfucker and get it back somehow.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, man. Like when it's in drive, it's not sometimes. I don't know. Like, can I get a different one?
That's funny, man. All right, well, it's late for you guys. We'll wrap it up. You guys get some sleep. I really appreciate your time, though, Johnny. It was awesome.
Was this a fun one?
I thought it was fun.
You're all right. You can handle
it. All right, thanks. I mean,
were you bored? Sorry if you were bored, man.
No, I felt I got primed up by my Q&A that you guys I felt like the seal was opened a little bit.
Yeah, we went right into needles and period blood.
Yeah, so I feel like you guys benefited from that. So, oh yeah, go back. It's a must listen. So
I was expecting this really, really beautiful girl, Kate, and then I got you. I don't know if it's better or worse.
Well, make a decision.
I would say better.
6 of one, half doesn't know another.
Yeah. No, thank you so much, Johnny.
Yeah. So everyone watching, I don't even know if you guys are probably just gonna watch this by yourselves and masturbate to it. But if you show it to other people,
I already did.
Go to JonnyFairplay.com, get a t-shirt. With every t-shirt purchase, get a phone call from me, Jonny Fairplay, thanking you for your purchase. Go to SurvivorNSFW.com. You can watch or listen. click the subscribe button. But most importantly, and the best way to support me and the brand is go to adfreeNSFW.com. Become a patron. We have a weekly Q&A. We have a monthly Zoom call. We have a secret Facebook group that we have really awesome people. We're about to do a secret Santa deal, which is going to be a lot of fun.
Oh, can we call it Secret Santa, Johnny?
I can call it. It's secret. It's a secret group. Like if this was like an open group, I probably couldn't. But like I feel like, well, like what do they call what's the what's
Elephant
this?
Swamp?
No. What's that game? The Secret Hitler game?
Yes. Have you ever played that?
No, I've never played it.
But, you'd be great at it.
Oh, I'm sure. But the survivors play it. They call it Secret Hands.
Secret Hands, yeah.
Which I think is amazing.
Yeah.
No, my daughter Piper. Well, it would be more impressive if Madeline did. But Piper plays Among Us, like the online. And she won as an imposter in a 10-person room last Thursday night. It's a pretty big deal. So
you're like, that's my kid.
Yeah. So there you go. So go to ad-free NSFW. Try it for 1 month. If you don't like it, hit me up. I'll give you your fucking money back. I don't care.
I will be joining just for the Australian Survivor rewatch.
There you go. I think it'll be fun. So, and all the other stuff, as I said, it's a very good group of people. I've only had to kick out 2 people ever in the history of the group. Like one got caught with,
shitting in his hand.
What's that?
He got caught shitting in his
much
hand.
Much worse. So one guy had legal issues, and we removed it like the second we found out, we removed him from the group, and then the other person, like, hey, watch these 20 videos, and tell me how you would change what they said, and I was just like. But he didn't say it was 20 videos. He's just like, hey, check out this article. What do you think? And so I go to it, and I'm just like, because like I purposely don't read the Q&A questions before we read them, because I want to give an instant, reactionary answer. Like I think that's more fun. And so I purposely try not to but I happen to so anyway, so I see it, and I go to the website. I was just like, ooh, this looks like some reading. I was just like, all right, we'll answer this next week. And so anyway, so I saved it for next week. And so we came back to it. And in that week, I went to the website, I started, and it was like 20, 8-minute videos. And I was just like, no, and I explained, I kind of just like, hey, very thoughtful question, I guess. However, I can't watch 8 or 20 8-minute videos in preparation for one question on a Q&A. Like, as I said, like the fun of the Q&A is just, my react, because every time, I've done crazy shit. Like Andy Dick's jerked off underneath the bed. I was fucking a girl. Crazy shit has happened to me. Okay. So I'm just like all this stuff is out there. I'm like, I tell crazy stories each week. I'm just like, let the show flow, let it have fun. Like that's the purpose of the show. Like me watching 4 hours of fucking shit to answer a fucking 5-minute question. That's shit. That's not fun for me, and it won't be fun for you when I'm fucking done. Like that's not the purpose of this. So I apologize. I was just like, hey, ask anything else. I'm like, that's just not the purpose of how the Q&A works. He was like, oh, so you can answer everyone else's question, but you can't. You're an elitist when it comes to. And I'm just like, dude, here's every dollar you've ever given my Patreon. Goodbye.
What if it was 4 hours of Lillian Morris pouting?
It was better than when he fucking had. He asked me to watch fucking Yule videos.
Dude, I wish so badly you would go on the Eric Andre show if that was ever a possibility.
You know what? I hit him up at one time, and because I felt like there was some good potential cross-pollination, and I don't think I got to the right source to make that happen, because me and Tim and Eric, we've hung out and talked about doing stuff together, and I'm good friends with Bob Odenkirk. We talk a few times a year. Yeah. I listened to my favorite book when I did my first season of Survivors, Whatever Happened to Mr. Show. And so Bob Bob and David reached out like immediately, and they did a show called David's Situation, and it was a sitcom for HBO, and it was filmed in the same house that they filmed Everyone Loves, or the same set as they filmed Everyone Loves Raymond. And if you watch, there's a clip on YouTube if you type in David's Situation, and it's the pilot episode is David is watching this house for this family that went out of town, and Zach Galifianakis shows up, and they're also filming To Catch a Predator at the same time, and so they catch Zach Galifianakis as their 1,000th predator. And so he asked if he could sing a song, and they do a flashback to his music video. And his music video is Zach Galifianakis in a limousine on his way to the Penis Magazine premiere party, and he picks up Jonny Fairplay and a bunch of whores, and we're doing cocaine in the back seat, and then Andy Dick is like blowing us.
What? That's amazing.
Oddly specific.
And here's the crazy thing. So they filmed the pilot, and HBO greenlights it, and then Bob and David are like, "Wait a second, we hate sitcoms," and they said no.
Bob Odenkirk hates sitcoms?
What could it have been?
Yeah. So, but you'll see me if you check out David's Situation on YouTube. But more importantly, go to adfreeNSFW.com and try it for a month.
I heard Bob Odenkirk was supposed to be Michael Scott before Steve Carell stepped in.
Yes.
Yeah, but he hates sitcoms. That's interesting. But yes, so let's Jonny Fairplay, NSFW, Patreon, do it.
Yeah, adfreeNSFW.com. Yeah, that's it. I'll give you your money back if you don't fucking like it. I don't care. I mean, I don't want to hold anyone captive. But I think it's fun. I think we do it my favorite podcast each week is the Q&A. So, and this has been my second favorite podcast this week. And I'm covering The Amazing Race on Wednesday, and this will still be my second favorite podcast this week.
All right, buddy. Take care. Enjoy those kids.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
All right. Thanks, Johnny.
All right. See ya.